Good day, everyone. Today we shall be looking at the Bece practical exam, and that was where we stopped last week. If you remember very well, we discussed about food composition, classes of food, and food malnutrition, and the function of these classes of food. Then we talk about balanced diet. We talk about the class of food that include carbohydrate, protein, fat and oil, minerals, salt, vitamin, water, roughage, and so on. And we discussed about the sources of this food and their their importance. Okay, now I want to proceed further to look at the test for food. Okay, now your practical exam will be asked how to test for these food substances, and the food category that we have includes starch, reducing sugar such as glucose, protein and fat. These are the major food components that you'll be asked to test for. And for the you are going to look how to test for starch using iodine solution. We call it iodine test. We look how to test for reducing sugar, for glucose, the dimension of glucose. We look at how to test for protein. That is where you use the biuret test. We look at how to test for lipid. That is emotion test. Having done that, you are given some specimens, some sample to also look at. That is, you are given iron filling, you are given sulfur powder, and you are given iodine crystals. So these three samples, we are going to look at their differences and their uses in the laboratory. So, and the third thing that you are given some substances such as meter rule, the stop clock, weighing balance, thermometer, and these are what you are given to also use as a laboratory work. Now, what I'm going to do with those ones, we are going to look at their identification. You should be able to identify each of them, and you should be able to state the uses of each of these materials that are being asked and that are being given in your Bece practical exam as you continue for more explanation. So, we shall now look at how to test for food samples. So if you remember last week, we talked about food identification and the classes of food balance diet and the deficiencies. So I will look at test for starch, and the general name for test of starch, we will call it iodine test. Okay, so I will call it test for starch or iodine test. How do you go about it? So start from the test. The sample of food, you take small sample of food, you homogenize with in a mortar and pestle with water, make it in form of solution, and take a little bit into a test tube. So you then add iodine solution to the solution of the substance to be tested. The substance to be tested, which is a full sample, you add iodine solution to it, and you look for color change. So at the end of the test, you expect the solution to turn blue-black. If starch is present, the solution in the test tube will turn blue-black, and that confirms the presence of starch in the test tube. And that is how to test for starch. So always remember that starch turns blue-black with iodine. If iodine is added to a starch solution, it changes to blue-black. Remember that. So the next one is test for reducing sugar. Now, you know that the monomers, when starch is broken down, is going to give us glucose. Our body cannot utilize starch in that form. It needs to be broken down through the process of digestion to glucose. So how can we test for glucose? And glucose is reducing sugar. Okay, how can we test for glucose? This is not starch again, this is glucose. How can we test for glucose? Now, the test is that you had a Benedict reagent. There's a reagent already prepared in the laboratory. We call it Benedict reagent. So you add that reagent to the solution to be tested. You add it to the substance, to the full sample that need to be tested. Okay, or you call it unknown substance. What do you see after you have added the Benedict reagent to it? The solution will turn brick red color. The color that will be given will be brick red, and that confirms the presence of reducing sugar. An example is what? Glucose. That shows that glucose is present. So the test for starch is different from the test for reducing sugar, such as glucose. We use iodine to test for starch, and we use Benedict solution to test for glucose, and they have different colors at the end. So, having understood that, we now look for test for protein. The name is called biuret test. The test that we use to determine protein in the laboratory is called biuret test. And how is it being done? You had biuret. Biuret also is a reagent that is readily available in the laboratory, the solution. Okay, you add it to the solution to be tested. To the solution of the full substance to be tested in the test tube, you add the biuret reagent to it, and you wait for color change. After that, what do we observe? Observation. So the solution turns purple. So when you have biuret reagent, the solution of unknown full sample, and the solution turns purple, that confirms the presence of protein. If the solution did not turn purple, that means protein is absent. So that is how to test for protein in the laboratory, to confirm the full substance contains protein. So now the next one is test for lipid. The general name for it is called emulsion test. So now, add ethanol to the solution to be tested. So ethanol is readily available in the laboratory. You add it to the full substance to be tested, a food that contains lipid, okay, and shake thoroughly. Shake it thoroughly. Then after that, add water and look for a color change. Now observation, what will you see after the test? The solution turns cloudy or milky. Now if the solution turns cloudy or milky, inference, that confirms that lipid is present. Okay, that confirms the presence of lipid. So these are different ways of testing for full substances in the laboratory, which your Bece practical may ask you. So that's why we are preparing you for it. So now look at the setup. This setup is trying to demonstrate how it's being done in the laboratory. Okay, so for different experiments to test for food, for different nutrients, for different food samples. So if you look at the different types, look at the first one. The food sample is the one that's in form of block shape. So you pieces it, okay, you cut it. You just need a very small amount of it, and you put it in a mortar and pestle. You stir it in order to get the solution. And so when you pour water and you stir it, after that you put it into a filter. Contain a filter paper to remove the filtrate, the liquid part. So and the liquid part will now be deposited into the test tube. You look at the left hand side, okay, into the test tube. And having done that, you now add pour filtrate into water. You pour the filtrate. Pour filtrate into water. You pour the filtrate into water. So having done that, with that you now pour filtrate into water, and that confirms the presence of the fat. So if you look at the last one, the right hand side, the same process is being observed, and the carbohydrate substance, the starch, is in the test tube, and you add iodine solution into it. The color will change to blue-black. The same thing applies to biuret test I've explained. Okay, when you add biuret reagent to the solution of unknown food substance, the color will change to purple. Okay, and the last one is the Benedict reagent. Okay, that is used to test for reducing sugar. So this is just a practical demonstration of how it's being done in the laboratory. So having established that, the next thing that was asked, that was given to check, was iodine filings, powder sulfur, iodine crystal. These three substances are solid and they are in form of powder. Hence, the three of them are in form of powder, but they have different colors. So we may be asked to distinguish them, to tell us the physical differences between the three substances and their uses. So, and this has been tabulated in the table below. So the iodine filings, the color, The first thing, the difference between the three of them, we look at the color. For iodine filing, it is brownish because it's iodine. You expect it to be iron filing. So it's iron filing. You expect it to be brownish because iron is brown. So powder sulfur is yellow, and iodine crystal is blackish in color. So you can differentiate them in terms of their color. The next one is magnetization, if they are being attracted to a magnet or not. Okay, that is another way of differentiating between the three of them. For the iron filing is magnetic, okay, it will be attracted to a magnet. Powder sulfur is not magnetic, and iodine crystal is also not magnetic. So with that, we can distinguish between the three specimens. We call them specimen or we call them sample in the laboratory. The last one, we look at their uses. Okay, for iron filing, it is used to show direction of magnetic field. Okay, so that it is north or south. Okay, so we used to show the direction of magnetic field. And the powder sulfur is used to treat skin infection. Okay, that is why you use powder, yellow powder to treat skin infection. And the head on iodine crystal, you can use it to make dyes, inks, and photographic film. So these are the different uses of the three specimens. If you are asked, remember their color, their magnetization, and their uses. So now the next one is the other specimen that were given is meter rule, stop clock, thermometer, measuring cylinder, and weighing balance. These five specimen or sample were given to us, and what do you expect to know? The first thing is identification. You will to identify them. When you see them, you ask to identify the following sample. They will put it on the table and you'll be asked to identify them. Let's see each of them in the diagram how you can identify them. So look at the meter rule. This is a meter rule. It is very common. It is easy. Okay, everybody know meter rule. Okay, like a ruler. Okay, and it is calibrated. This is meter rule. The next one is stop clock. Stop clock, we use it in analysis in physics laboratory. This is stop clock. We have many of it in the laboratory. Stop clock is to check time. Okay, we are going to see their uses later. So this one is just identification, so that when you see them, you'll be able to name the sample in the day of your exam. So this is stop clock. Okay, and the next one, this is thermometer. So this is our thermometer, but we have different types of thermometer. Okay, but this is a practical the example of a typical thermometer. Okay, so you should be able to identify thermometer. It is measured in either degree Celsius or degree Fahrenheit or Kelvin. Degree Celsius, degree Fahrenheit or Kelvin. That is the unit of measuring of thermometer. So what they are doing now is just for identification purpose. So next one is measuring cylinder. Okay, measuring cylinder, if you have many of it in the laboratory, in the chemistry lab, measuring cylinder is also calibrated. Okay, so he has his own specific uses. So you should be able to know measuring cylinder. When you see, you should be able to identify them and you should be able to name it when you see that this is a measuring cylinder. Okay, and that is the purpose of your exam, for identification. And this is weighing balance. Okay, weighing balance is very important in chemistry laboratory. Okay, because you use it to weigh substance. Okay, so we have many of it in the laboratory. When school resumes, I will show you all these apparatus for you to see. This is weighing balance. So next, we'll now look at the uses, because you need to identify them and state their uses. So what are the uses? For meter rule, it is used to measure length or distance between 2 points. Yes, that is meter rule, like a ruler. So stop clock used to measure time in seconds. Okay, that is the use of stop clock. Thermometer used to measure temperature. Okay, temperature is the degree of hotness or coldness. So you use thermometer to measure temperature. I have measuring cylinder. It is used to measure volume of liquid. You want to measure volume of liquid in mil, in centimeter, you use measuring cylinder. Okay, so weighing balance used to measure the weight or mass of an object or mass of a solid or solute in laboratory before you make into solution. So you use for weighing, used to measure mass or weight of an object in the laboratory. So that's where we are going to stop. Thank you.